Lil Ed Williams of Lil Ed and the Blues Imperials have been active for several decades, with hits such as Giving Up on Your Love, It's Alright, and Hold That Train. He's been around the block. And this Monday, July 25th, he's going to be appearing in our neck of the woods for the Pavilion in the Pines concert series, located at 450 Ishmael Road in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Lil Ed was able to provide me with a special interview where he provides us with insights into his personal life, how he became an accomplished musician, his influences, and how the band has been able to stay together for 30 years. Consider checking out his music, and thank you again to Lil Ed for providing a true blue, down-to-earth conversation with me. Enjoy. Your brother is your bassist is your brother James Pookie Young. Guitarist
Yeah,
is Mike Garrett, and of course your drummer
right.
is Kelly Littleton. And you've all stayed
Yeah,
together for over 30 years, which is not the most common thing in the music scene. What are some of the
yeah.
strengths from your observation that have been able to keep the glue held for so long?
Well, you keep you treat your band members with respect, keep them right, you know, and you pay them the best too you can, and that's what does it. They love being out here, and they love playing music, so you got to keep them happy.
Right on.
Yeah.
And often when bands are kind of starting out and getting a groove with one another, what were some experiences you had in the beginning when getting together with Mike, Kelly, and James to play together?
Well, me and James, which is Pookie, is Pookie. That's
Hmm.
my big brother. So we come up doing this stuff together. So it wasn't hard to do anything with him because we was learning at the same time up under our uncle J.B. Hello. So uh, it wasn't no problem with him. When I met Mike, Mike was doing an audition. He just came in to play a little bit with me, sit in with me. Bruce Iglauer introduced me to Mike. I didn't know who Mike was until Bruce Iglauer introduced me to him. And when he introduced me to him, Mike was so great, I had him right off the spot. And Mike introduced me to Kelly, the drummer. So
Right.
and same deal. He was so good. When I got with him, uh, when he came to play with us at a show. And he was so good. I just had him right on the spot.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any like growing pains, or did it just sort of flow?
Well, you know what, anytime you're in a band, there's going to be some shuffles here and there. There was a few disagreements and some stuff, and other stuff it was okay. But we never really got to the point where we was actually ready to fight each other. I don't think. you know,
Yeah.
so if we had our little arguments and little tussles, everybody had them, but
Yeah.
I think that's just part of life.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been together for over 30 years. It's definitely it's going to happen. It's normal.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
sorry, but as a kid, you were often surrounded by music when you were growing up. What were some of your early influences?
just listening to my uncles and my aunts and cousins and all that stuff. They come over, and the family always got together on the weekends. And that was a really cool thing because they got together and we'd go to church on Sunday, and the family would get together on Sunday evening, and we'd sing church songs on Sunday, and then sing blues in the evening hour.
Yeah, yeah,
So it was a fun deal. Listening to all that. Uh, it was just like having a concert at my house.
Right. And I think it was like when you were 6 or 7, you'd sing in church from 9 to 3 on Sundays. Is
Yeah.
yeah, is that how you initially started developing your vocal ability?
You know what? I actually didn't really start. Well, I guess kind of. Yeah, because I was. They had always called it. They picked a song for me all the time. Uh, and I had a song to sing. My sister had a song to sing, and that's the way it went. We all had songs to sing. My two sisters and me. My baby brother was staying with my mama, so he didn't. He wasn't coming to church at that time. I think he was going to church with her. But yeah, that's how it developed. It developed with me actually singing in church.
Oh, right on. Uh so this is kind of a leading question, but when and why did you start wearing a fez on stage?
Well, after my uncle passed, I wanted to have something to remember him by. And even though I had the music uh, that he created within me as well, it's still I wanted something else to make sure the people remember him, not
Right.
just uh, not just the music, just for him in general. Uh, uh, there was a lot of people that immediately recognized JB when I played, and that's a good thing, and especially with the fans because they know because he would wear one all the time. So that was part of him. That's what made JB Huddle the king of slide. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, a legendary figure especially in that scene.
Yeah.
And by the time you reached 12, you had already started playing guitar, then drums and bass, and then of course you're receiving kind of semi hands-off lessons from your uncle JB Hutto. What were
Right.
some ideas, habits, or beliefs that your uncle instilled in you that you still kind of carry out throughout your career?
Well, one of the main ones was how I treated my musicians. When he found out that I was actually going to pursue this thing. Uh, he uh, he immediately started telling me, you know, how to treat my musicians. He said, if you're going to treat your musicians, treat them right. You know, don't mess over them. Pay them to the best of your ability, and have respect for them. He told me all this. Because I was going to be a little hard touch because I was looking at some of the West Side musicians, uh, and they was hard touch. These
Yeah.
little cats like Lil Howlin' Wolf and Little Jimmy Reed and all these kind of cats were kind of hard touch. And I was thinking, well, I better be hard done. So JB stopped that. He said, no, no. He said, if you're going to have a band, you got to treat them with respect, Ed. You can't just run over them, and you can't, cause you the boss. That don't make you the leader. I mean,
Yeah.
and he said that in the sense of saying, cause you the boss, that don't mean you better than everybody. So, he sat me down and started telling me this, and at first I didn't kind of want to. I didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I was thinking, wow, why is he telling me? But he, it dawned on me as I grew to figure out as it came on to figure out how to treat my musicians. And another person had a little clip into that was Bruce Sigler. Was when I got to that get a record because Bruce, I wasn't really it was certain ways I was dividing my money that Bruce helped me out with to make it even more official, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, so uh, that was good.
Yeah.
That was
And I mean, just kind of jumping back to my first question, uh, when we talk about lessons that you kind of carried throughout your career, it seems like that one was definitely the biggest one. Like as we stated, you guys have been together for 30 years. So
yeah.
yeah, so
So that's what
proof is in the
kept things.
pudding.
Yeah, we had to. I had to know what to do with my musicians because being out there on the road, people tell you all kinds of different. So, oh, you ought to do this. You ought to don't let nobody run over you. Don't let do this.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is always floating around.
Yeah, yeah.
So, with the teaching from my uncle before he passed, uh, and we me and Pookie, we experienced some things with him as we were coming up too, because his band members, I remember Bombay Carter and Lee Jackson, all those cats. One day they was mad at JB and they was talking. Oh, I don't know why you do this, why you do that. So me and Pookie went and told Uncle JB because we didn't like it.
Yeah.
and and he looked up, he said, well, don't worry about it. They'll come along. Just like that.
Yeah.
Because we thought he was going to go in there and start raising all kinds of sand, And he went in there and started laughing and talking with him. And next thing I know, they was all playing together and, having a great time. So,
Yeah.
and I thought to myself, whoa, I thought he was going to go in there and ream them out,
And I can
But
only
he
imagine.
didn't.
Uh, so
Yeah,
so one thing that I thought was really interesting, I was doing a little bit of research, and something that came up about your uncle is what he would do is he'd show you one section of a song at a time, then he'd leave the guitar with you, and you'd go and you'd figure it out for yourself. Then when you could play it, he'd show you the next section. In the beginning, how long did it normally take you to put it together before showing it off to your uncle?
well, it took me I think it would take me maybe 3 days at the most, because I was really working on it. I was really trying to figure out what was I'd make mistakes and I'd miss a beat or something, and Uncle JB taught me really well. He taught me really well. He taught me how to. He said, listen. He taught me things like patting my feet, make sure I pat my feet when I'm, playing the music, make sure I was um, counting if I needed to count. But Uncle JB didn't count that much. He just pat his feet a lot. So, and he kept me into those things. And when he'd leave, then I'd get the guitar and start working on them. So it was cool. But then all of a sudden he just kept giving me these rhythm patterns. I kept thinking, why did you give me these rhythm patterns? I want to play some slide. And he said, don't worry about it. You'll get it when the time is right. And he would say that, and I couldn't say nothing. That was my uncle, and just cuss him out. But he would leave, and I would show Pookie what I learned from the rhythm, and that's how I started actually playing lead. Because when I'd show James my rhythm, he would play rhythm, and then I would play lead.
Yeah.
When he actually figured out that I was really into getting the leads down, he looked at me and he shook his head and he said, "No, okay, excuse me." He looked at me and he shook his head and he said, "I see you really getting into it now." He said, now it's time for you. You'll learn it as you go on. And I took it from there.
Hmm. And what was normally his reaction when you had completed a part?
Oh, he would say, he would look at me and go, okay, yeah, you got that, but can you do this?
Oh man.
He would jump to the next section of the song,
Yeah.
and I was so into wanting to just do this lead. I had no idea what he was teaching me to do until I actually started putting it together. And then when I put it together, I was like, wow, that's what made me show my brother James, because it was so exciting that I could hear what was actually going on. Then I had to show somebody. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep it to myself. And then I'd run around and show my other uncles, and they would be, yeah. Now, mind you, now all of my uncles, I had 3 uncles, and all of them had some kind of little singing thing, So when JB would show me these things, and I learned them, my uncles would make me play that pattern, and for them until they got tired of hearing it, because they were singing different songs off of one pattern, and I did it, I did it, and it came out great, and that's how I really, really learned, because all my uncles worked. They worked me. It was like, come on, boy, play that music. I'm gonna have you. We're gonna sing some songs. And every song that they sung, fast or slow, on that same pattern, I had to play it.
Mm-hmm. Did you and your brother ever get like a little competitive when this was sort of starting out?
No, we never did.
Oh, right on.
No. I wanted to. My uncle JB taught me how to beat drums too before I actually started even playing the guitar. And he didn't even think James Young was even interested, because Pookie wouldn't do nothing. He wouldn't ask him. He just sit up and look at him. He wouldn't ask him if he gave me nothing. He just sit up and look.
Yeah. Okay. So you were kind of like the primary focus for him.
Yeah, I was the one he knew. He knew I wanted to learn because I was asking him about it. I was asking questions every 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're just a super inquisitive kid, and it worked out. You learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's how that went.
Yeah, so a little bit of a transition. Your first gig was at a West Side club called Big Duke's Blue Flame. What were some events or moments that led up to landing that gig?
Excuse me. You know what? I don't know how we got that gig. I'm trying to remember. All I remember, I don't know if Uncle JB had something to do with that or what. I remember Pookie telling me that we had this gig, and it was at Big Duke's show place. Yeah. And we actually opened it up for this guy called Popeye. Okay. And we didn't know why they called him Popeye until we got to actually play with him. Because we were playing, and we were playing like an Elmo James shuffle, and all of a sudden the audience would holler, "Wow, wow!" And we thought that they were hollering for us. Me and Pookie thought that they were hollering because we were playing so good. Yeah. But it wasn't. They was hollering. So I decided to step up and see what was going on. Because every time Popeye would say a certain verse, the people would holler. So I stepped up, and he said a certain verse, and he turned around and looked at me, and his eyes was sitting on his cheeks. His eyeballs.
Oh.
Sitting on his cheeks. Yeah. That scared me half to death, man. I was like, I didn't know whether to take off and run.
Well, I mean, that definitely makes sense why they'd call him Popeye. My God.
Yeah, they called it Popeyes, and we had no idea why they called him that. See, back then they had three people on each show. There's some lady stripper that was on the show. They wouldn't let us go in until she was done.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had it was Popeye and us, you know.
Yeah.
They had some guy telling jokes. I don't know who he was, but they had Popeye and us. So after she got done and Popeye got up, and we got up, but this cat was singing. He had a great voice, but he'd say something there, and the people would holler, "Wow!" Everybody be ducking and dodging. Yeah. So I looked. I wanted to see what was going on, you know. And I seen that, boy. That about scared me. Like I said, I didn't know whether to stand still or run out. But I know one thing. I stepped back behind him, and I didn't get back in front of him no more.
Yeah. How did you feel after the gig?
Oh, well, we was fine after the gig. We was happy because we had never. That was our first gig by ourselves.
Yeah.
So that was like the bomb, you know.
Yeah.
It was it was really something that that really that beat us up that we wanted to do over and over, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did getting gigs after that initial show get easier? Were you getting booked more?
No, it was we started getting my. I tell you what, after my uncle passed, my auntie, she was working at a bar that was right down the street from us, and she must have told the boss that she had her she had somebody that she know somebody could play, or either we was her nephews and we could play, but she got us a job playing there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she got us a job playing there, and that was the ultimate test there because that's when I actually started to doing stuff like Uncle JB. That's when I really started to doing back bends and walking on the floor because, you know, to do a show, I didn't know what to do. I could just stand there and play, you know. But then I got happy and I started to doing what I used to see him do.
Yeah. Were you
And
playing covers or did you perform like your own songs?
and that's another thing. I used to sing all the stuff that I would hear Uncle JB sing, and I would even sing other stuff that I hear from the records. Because, you know, my aunties, they play Muddy Waters, Elmo
Mm-hmm.
James, all them cats. And I memorized a lot of stuff. That's what got Bruce Bigelow interested in me. Because he said he looked at me, he said, here's a cat that's 20-something years old, and he knows, you know, songs like You Don't Exist Anymore and all those really old tunes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was wondering where I got all that information.
Did anything influence you to develop your own songwriting ability?
Well, I think doing that was when I started actually writing stuff, because I wrote a tune called You Don't Exist Anymore
Right.
back then, and that was just copying off Uncle JB, you know, just trying to think, you know, I used to see Uncle JB come out with songs right off the top of his head, and I would think, man, where did you get that from? And he said, that's a new song, I just made it up,
Oh,
you know. and I was going, wow, how can you do that? You know.
yeah.
So me and Pookie, we would sit in the living room just playing, you know, after he had a guitar and I had one, we'd sit in the living room and just be playing, and I would just start putting words together, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how that come about, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds like a collaborative thing, which is completely normal. But
Yeah,
did you sort of
same.
struggle in the beginning?
Well, you're always struggling when you're writing.
Yeah.
It's not like just come up with songs that's just gonna match, you know. You can always struggle a little bit. So I mean, I did that all the time. I had to tear paper up and write it all over again. I'm doing the same thing right today, you know.
Yeah. Is there any advice
You
you'd
know.
give to someone who's like just starting out with that?
Well, just keep going at it. Just keep kicking it. You know, that's what I say.
Yeah.
You
Hey.
can't, you know, you can't give up on it. You got to keep going at it. And as it goes, it gets better and better. And you find yourself getting happy, you know, because you know it's getting better, you know.
Yeah, like developing some habits or approaches.
Yeah. So you know you be like, wow, oh, that's a good verse right there.
Yeah.
even though you might think, you know, you might think that it's not gonna make it, you know, but it will.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
1987, the new Blue Bloods was released, and before it kind of came out, you played on it. Was that the first recording session you had with Alligator?
That was the very first one.
Right. And
Very
how did
first.
it lead to your first studio album, Roughhousing?
Well, we got in the studio, you know, and we're playing, and you know, I didn't know how to react in the studio. I never had been in a studio before, you know, so I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to do, you know. So we just started playing. You know, Bruce came in, got us set up, and put headphones on my head, earphones on my head. And I didn't know. It was so amazing to hear the music that loud in your head. So I was so used to just listening to it from the little stages that we were playing at. But when you really get down to it, when you're recording, it sounds so much even better, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just started to playing like I was playing in a club, you know. I was walking around because we had some baffles up, but there was nothing to keep us from each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Bruce knew that. I think he knew that if we seen each other, he was gonna get a show out of the deal, you know.
Yeah.
And I started playing. And I just started walking the floors and doing my toe walks and back bends, and people were like, they had all these people behind the glass, and those were the alligator staff. You know, they were hollering, "Do one more, come on!" They're clapping, and it was good, you know. So next thing I know, Bruce came out and said, "Hey, you guys, you know, you did. It had been 3 hours, and we had did 30 cuts in 3 hours." So
Oh man, that's a lot.
yeah, so we had did 30 cuts in 3 hours, and it was just having a good time,
Yeah.
you know.
Is that sort of where your relationship with Bruce kind of took off, or what was it
Yep,
like meeting him for the first time?
that's where it took off at right there, because you know, Bruce. That's when he asked us. He said, "We did all these songs all this time, so we might as well make an album." You know,
Yeah.
he said y'all did all these songs with all this time, and that's where it generated from right there.
Yeah. Came out in 1986. But I got another question, specifically with Bruce again. How has your relationship with him kind of evolved over time?
Oh, I've always said Bruce is like my long lost dad,
Hmm.
cause You know, he treated me like I was his son. You know, so that was, we had a me and Bruce got a great relationship. You know, we
Yeah.
got a great relationship. Bruce, he stuck with me through the hard times that I was having, and you know, he never gave up on me. He's always there for me. He's just a great guy. Great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Kind of seemed like a, yeah, like you said, a father-son type of deal. And then, of
yeah.
course, you had your wife, Pam, who was also a big support for you. What was it like? Because I know you were kind of at end of your rope type situation and you gave her a call and then she kind of helped you out and everything like that. How did you two meet? I know she's your manager now, but like, how did you guys get together?
Well, Pam called me. Pam come seeing me. I think I met Pam in Ohio. She came. And then next time I seen her again was in Chicago. She
Okay.
came all the way to Chicago to see me after the first time we met. And you know, Pam, it was so nice and subtle. You know, and you know, we started seeing each other after we had met the second time. We started to seeing each other, but we had no idea that we was gonna actually get married because she wasn't looking for marriage and I wasn't either.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking to myself, well, we gonna have some fun, and then when she get tired, we gonna cut this thing loose and leave it alone. You know.
Yeah.
But then I wound up. I had to leave the west side of Chicago because I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
And when I left the west side, I called her, and she came and got me. And
Yeah.
I asked her, could I stay with her for a little while? And she said, yeah, you can stay with me, you know. And I stayed with her, and she helped me out. She she was there for me. You know, she helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And we had been together a whole year. And I looked at her, I said, you know what? We've been together a year. We might as well go and get married. And she said, okay. Just like that. And we got married. I did that.
Yeah. I know another thing is it would be some time, but I think your daughter I believe this is what happened. Your daughter kind of gave you the push to make this move and you weren't going to see her for a while. What was it like when
Yeah.
you finally got to see her again?
Oh, it was awesome. You know, she was so happy. And she was glad that me and Pam was together. She was really happy that Pam had stuck with me and
Yeah.
and got me to on my way to recovery.
So did her
You
and
know,
Pam
so
kind of develop a close relationship after that?
oh yeah, she's crazy about Pam.
Oh, that's always great to hear.
Yeah, she's crazy about Pam. She always get mad at me, but she don't never get mad at Pam. I
uh
gotta call. I gotta call Pam mom. I gotta call moms all the time because you don't never answer your phone.
oh my god. Did she end up kind of following into music footsteps that you left?
No, she'll come see me play, but she ain't into that stuff. I tried to get my son into it, but he was so busy wanting to operate on stuff. He tore up the guitar for him and everything. I said, man, what did you do? I was trying to fix it, Dad. He told me he was trying to fix it. Tuck the whole thing apart, man.
Right. So in 2016, you released The Big Sound of Lil Ed and the Blues Imperials, and there's a specific song, Whiskey Flavored Tears, is featured on there. How did that come into creation?
That was for my mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
My mother helped me help that song. She actually started talking about it. She was talking about whiskey flavored tears, and I told her I was gonna write a song about it. That's how that come about. That was for her.
Did she describe the song to you, or did she just give you the name?
She had a dream.
Yeah.
I've seen a song called Whiskey Flavored Tears.
Has she heard the
And
song?
huh?
I'm sorry. Has she heard the song?
No, she had a dream that I was singing a song called Whiskey Flavored Tears. And I thought I was going to write it, and I
Yeah.
did.
Right. What I mean is after you produced it, did you show her the song like, "Hey, I made this"?
Yes, she heard it. She heard it. She liked it. I wasn't going to put it out until she listened to it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, Ed, I know you're a really, really busy guy, and you're getting ready to play the Blast Furnace Blues Festival this Sunday on the 24th in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and you're leaving tonight from Chicago. And then later
Yeah.
on Monday the 25th, you're playing the Pavilion in the Pines concert series in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Are you excited to come
Yeah.
out to the East Coast again?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got to get myself geared up. I got to get prepared because it's been a while since I've been out on the road. So so it's gonna be a little hectic for me for a minute because I ain't been out, a few miles away, but not that far.
I gotcha.
And being at home now, you know, I don't want to leave house. I don't want to leave the house now.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an opportunity, definitely go stop by the beach. That's where it's going to cool off. Plus, it's just always a
Yeah.
nice place to kind of take a walk or put your feet in the water or something like that. Smell the salt in the
Yeah.
air. It's a good time. Definitely try that out if you get the opportunity.
Okay. I will.
All right, but Ed, thank you so much for coming on and giving some time to talk about your life and your career. And for anyone listening, be sure to check out Lil Ed and the Blues Imperials across streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and Alligator. Get your hands on their music and merchandise. Of course, if you're located near the Tuckerton area, be sure to check out their show on the 25th at the Pavilion in the Pines concert series. I've been there
All
myself.
right.
It's a good time. So anyone listening should consider going. Thank you again, Ed. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I hope you had a
All
good
right.
time, and I think you're gonna have a great show. I won't be surprised if you do.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much.
All right. I hope we can do this again sometime. Thank you again for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
All right, no problem. Call me anytime.
All right. Have a good one, Ed.
All right, bye-bye.